Uh-huh. Now, this idea of vows and oaths, yes. But if, verse 14, her husband altogether holds his peace at her from day to day, then he establisheth all her vows and all her bonds which are upon her. He confirmeth them, because he held his peace at her in the day that he heard them. But if he shall anyways make them void after that he hath heard them, then he shall bear her iniquity. These are the statutes which the Lord commanded Moses between a man and his wife, between the father and his daughter, being yet in her youth in her father's house. Now, my thought about all of this oaths and vows, yeah, I wouldn't do it. I'm not one of those that says, well, I'm going to do this and I'm unchangeable. Right. I don't say the Lord told me to do it. Yeah. I'm not predestined to do some great thing. Yes. My thought is that God is predestined right now. There could be some husbands or wives that said, well, I vowed a vow and we're going to do this because the Lord told me to do it. Yes. Now, there could be some authoritarianism in relationships where a father says to his daughter, well, I'm going to disallow you to do that because that's not what the Lord wants you to do. Yes. And then there's all these questions about sons. I mean, why doesn't it talk about that? Let's say one of my sons said, well, I've vowed a vow to the Lord, and on oath, God has told me to do this. And I'm sitting there listening to what God wants you to do. Yes. And sometimes I just say, well, go ahead. Let's see what happens. Now, there's this idea of exactly how much influence I should have in the upbringing of sons and daughters. Yes. To a certain extent, I think that parenting involves the thought of exactly what they're saying to me. Now, quite often, I will make the decision to not think about what they're saying. I think that's what he says here. Yes, that the husband void heard them, then whatsoever proceedeth out of her lips concerning her vows or concerning the bond of her soul shall not stand, have made them void. Now, there's this other concept, right? How to husband fruit. Let's say I was sitting there. Yes, Marilyn says, well, I'd like to go do this. And I'm like, well, I'd like to not do anything today. She said, no, I'd like to go do it. Quite often I'd get up. I'd go do it as much as I really didn't want to do anything. I'm one of those types of men that would husband a woman so that she would have quite a bit of influence of exactly what I do each day.